Hi class, welcome to the ICD-10 Coding Manual. Did you look at this book and think, oh my gosh, what am I supposed to do with this? You're not alone. We've all had that thought process. So together we're going to learn how to master this book. It's our friend. And the first part, the first step in the coding process is learning how to read the alphabetical index. That is where we always begin to convert our written diagnostic statement from words into a code. So make sure you have your coding book. If for some reason you don't, follow along, and then you can re-look at this video at any time. The condition that we're going to code today is a retinal detachment of the right eye with multiple breaks. Now that seems long. It seems more complicated than eye pain or chest pain. But there's a reason that we're doing this, because we're going to learn how to read the index of our ICD-10 CM book. The first thing we're going to do is we need to figure out, how am I going to look this up? Of these words in this statement, retinal detachment of the right eye with multiple breaks, what am I going to start with? Well, remember this and ask yourself this. What one word in that statement identifies the condition or the problem? That would most likely be detachment. Retinal is a body part. Right eye is specific to the body part. Multiple breaks further describes those conditions. So those are never going to be main terms. You might find a body part in the index, but it will not have your code underneath it next to a subterm. It will always redirect you. So your main term will always be that word in bold where we ultimately found our code. Okay, so I opened up my index and lo and behold, I found D and detachment in bold in my index. Yay! Okay, now we have to find retinal. The other words in our diagnostic statement are retinal, right eye, multiple breaks. We need to try and find as many of those words from our diagnostic statement here as subterms in the index. We may not find every one of them. That's okay. We want to find as many as we can. Now, take note, in every single page of our index are these two shaded gray lines. They are there for a reason. They are there to help guide our eyes to properly read the index, to lead us to the correct code, to verify it in the tabular. If you get this understanding and practice with it, this is foundational. This is Coding 101 Basics, and it will help lead you to that correct code. Let's go back up to detachment. You'll notice that the subterms are in alphabetical order at every level of indentation. This first shaded gray line is important. We have to find a subterm that matches our diagnostic statement at this first shaded gray line. It's not just reading words willy-nilly. It's one step at a time. I don't know what's going to come first. So I'm going to follow my shaded gray line, and I see retina, retinal. Okay, looking pretty good. There is a default code here. However, take note, if the diagnosis just said retinal detachment, boom, nothing more, no more description to it, then we would stop here at H33.2. But it doesn't. We have right eye and multiple breaks. Therefore, we are going to continue to read indented below retina. we see the word with retinal. It kind of sits on top of that second shaded gray line. So we've moved over one indentation. But we still have more. We have break and we have multiple. So you'll notice indented under with retinal is break that's sitting at the second shaded gray line. And then we have the word multiple, which is indented below break. And there's our code we're going to go verify. Let me point this out. Not every time when we code will we need to read this many subterms and take this many steps further and further to the right. But this is elementary, and I want you to get comfortable with following the subterms as they correspond to the shaded gray lines. Now, everything in this book is speaking to us. It's telling us what to do, so we are learning its language. Pay attention to the dash and the check mark. That is telling us that there are more characters to this code. Now, if you pause this video and you look down at the bottom of the page, it'll remind us what that little character means, that convention. They're symbols. The conventions are the little symbols that are telling us something. We never choose our final code from here in the index. Never, ever, never. It will be incomplete, and there's more information in the tabular list. That's why we have both sections, and that's the process. So now we've found our code in the tabular list. We found our H33.02. And that little dash in the check mark is letting us know there's more characters. Every letter and number is a character to the code. Take a look at this little red check 6th, or you may see a check 4th. That is telling us the exact number of characters we need to have this code complete. If you put H33.02 on your claim form, it's getting rejected and coming back. But the codes with the additional characters are indented right below. This whole book uses that indentation format. Also, take a look at what's in green. This is really awesome. It tells us the differences between each of the code descriptions. Yay! I love it. Well, the condition was a retinal detachment of the right eye with multiple breaks. So therefore, we come down and we see H33.021 is a retinal detachment with multiple breaks of the right eye. That would be the code that we verify. Okay, to sum everything up, our main term is detachment. The only place we will ever find our main term is in our ICD-10 book. Our code is H33.021. When you're answering your assignments, the answers to the questions are very simple. Main term, detachment, code, H33.021. That's it. You don't have to write out a long sentence. It's simple and straightforward. Couple of items to note. Always type your code and your main term exactly as you see it in your coding manual. Sometimes your main term may be more than one word. Whatever it is in bold, that's your main term. Type your code. It's always a capital letter. Be mindful of typing a 0 or an I. Every code begins with a letter. And we have codes that begin with I and codes that begin with O, and it's easily confused. It's always been that way. I saw it when they had the draft copy. It's just the way it is. So just note, every code begins with a capital letter. Finally, if you're frustrated, you're confused, reach out, email me, call me, make an appointment with myself or another coding instructor. Do not use the internet for coding. You'll be confused. It's going to lead to incorrect codes because outdated ICD-9 codes are still out there on the internet. Learn this manual. It is your friend. It's intimidating at first, but take some time to read through it. Each week in this course builds upon the next. With that, I wish you all the best. Happy coding, and I look forward to talking with you soon.